genius of rock and roll.
Well, hello and welcome to the Daily Atheist Morning Show. I'm your host, the amazing Super Chris Mallard. Thank you for joining me today. I missed you guys. Yesterday was Monday. I was off. The ladies of Java and Jugs. I'm not really sure if that's what they finally nailed down on the names, but they were here. I hope it all went well. I didn't watch. I took the day off. Right? That's what I was supposed to be doing. I listen when I'm told to take the day off. I did. I hope you guys had a great day, a great weekend. In fact, we've got an interesting topic today. I've dropped a couple of videos, one over the weekend. Finally got around to dropping an Evil God Monster of Abraham series episode. And today, after the show, a new video will go live. It's about how God is the God of slaves. Christianity is slavery for slaves, written by slaves, that sort of thing. So that video is coming up. We'll talk about that a little bit. I may even show you the video if you're nice. Otherwise, we got all kinds of weird shit to catch up on. We'll talk about it in a minute.
Are you feeling the world is leaving you behind? Do you look at all the pseudoscience, rumors, and wild speculation on the internet and wonder, why can't I do that? Well, friend, you can. We can help you. We are Conspirowin. Conspirowin has a long history of helping anyone with a hidden truth. We will get your message out. The conspiracy theories you see today all started out with one person's vision. The moon landing hoax was launched by a NASA engineer whose manager didn't okay his vacation request. Conspirowin was there to help out. Christianity started out because one little girl named Mary got pregnant out of wedlock, and Conspirowin saved the day. Now, the virgin birth is accepted Catholic doctrine. You may be thinking, but my idea of the center of the earth being made of ice is far-fetched. No one's going to believe that. In a world where people believe windmills cause cancer, we say no dream is too big. Conspirowin will take your fledgling idea and feed it to our YouTube, Twitter, and TikTok operatives. And these savvy social media professionals will raise doubts with the prevailing scientific consensus. They will say no one has ever seen the planet's core except Jesus. And science is wrong all the time. That's why science has theories and not Jesus. Within 30 days, we guarantee you CNN will run a story on how your conspiracy theory isn't true. We will also give you 100% assurance Fox News will say your crazy idea about the Earth's core being an icy ball is true. Follow your heart. Listen to the voices no one else can hear. Team up with Conspirowin.
All right, and we are back. Look who I found. I found Ryan. She was hiding in the back.
Yes, I was. Peekaboo.
Look at you. Awesome as ever. Fantastical. That's wonderful. I have a white door behind me. I ought to like let mine be seen, and people might think we're in the same place.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, I forgot to put the green screen back up from yesterday.
Nah, it's awesome. No worries. Randall Flack, don't break a hip, says, he's, good morning. Before I address the chat, because it could get ugly. Good morning, Ryan. I hope you had a wonderful 3-day weekend away from moi. Did you guys have a good show yesterday?
Yes, I really enjoyed myself. The MLMs, it's interesting. Have in common the same tactics that they use, and how it seems like the same kind of people fall for religion and fall for MLMs. There's something to be said there.
Okay, I have suspected for a long time. I don't know how else to say it, but yeah, we got the blue screen. I fixed it. That there are actually the features of the brain that kind of determine how susceptible people are to these certain things. And whenever I was writing my book, the sci-fi book, War in Heaven, the evil one is a medical professional with an advanced degree, and she has a daughter who's also a medical professional with advanced degrees. And we kind of did a little bit of research, and in the story, I kind of wrote it to where, in other words, certain people have certain, if your amygdala is a certain size and another part of your brain, if those two things, depending on how big one is and how small the other one is, will determine how conservative or how liberal you are. And essentially, it's your fear. If your fear and disgust area is turned up, you're more likely to be a conservative.
Oof.
I know. Isn't that interesting?
Oh, I think that makes complete sense. When you're constantly living in a panic and fear-induced environment, of course you're going to be conserved and holding on tight to things. Control.
That's true, and that seems to be their entire thing. Sorry, guys, I was fixing my chair. There we go. That seems to be their entire bag: fear, control. So yeah, we actually kind of looked it up, and those people who have those kinds of things. So in my story, actually, my sci-fi story, I wrote it to where these aliens released a certain virus that would alter your brain to make you more susceptible to believing in religion, because they were trying to pass themselves off as that kind of thing. Interesting stuff.
Yikes.
Crazy.
Maybe that's what Trump's doing to us. He's putting something in the water. Just
if
kidding.
only.
I wish it was simple. It was a simple thing.
I wish it was that easy. Yeah, don't drink the water.
Yeah.
Good morning, Aaron. Not Miss Non Sequitur. It's been a day or three. I saw you, I think, Friday. I hope you had a good weekend. Let's see. Let me catch up on the chat, Miss Ryan. Let's see what the chat has to say. They fall for maggot too. Good morning, Aaron. Hi, Sapient Cephalopod. Great comment on my post earlier. Of course, ambushed apostate. Seth, if you ever get the chance, we should just hang out and chat just because, for funs. Because, chat, he's cool. I'm cool. We're both cool like that. John Hudson is once again darkening our doorstep with his poo stories. How's it going, John? I hope you're doing okay. Let's see. That's why John only drinks whiskey, because fish pee in water. I understand. That's why. That's
why it tastes so good. I don't know what y'all are talking about. When people drink water and they're like, water doesn't have a taste. I'm like, I taste that fish pee. That fish
my brain was just on a normal track. I was like, whenever ice water is nice and cold and you've been hot and you're working out, that shit does taste good. And you're going in an entirely different direction, girl. I love it. I mean, it's hot.
Gotcha. Gotcha, bitch.
No, it was not what I thought. Let's see. Chick Magnate is here. Equus is here. Secular Feelinist was the first one showing up this morning. Good morning, Secular Feelinist. Ryan Cultastic, that weirdo's in the chat again.
Yeah.
Me in my chair. Anyway, screw the chair.
Let her.
Let's see. I think I missed somebody else. Yeah, there's quite a few people. And lurkers. We have lurkers in the chat, y'all. We have the coolest chat, though. Trip is here. Hey, everyone. Ryan has such curly hair. It's so pretty. What's up, Chris, my dude? Me, finally. Yeah. Good morning, Trip. I hope you're having a great day. Thank you for joining us. Let's see. Sapient Cephalopod. They do fall for MAGA. My carpentry skills makes me Jesus look like a first-year apprentice. John, that's interesting. I really appreciate that you bring that up, John, because John is quite the carpenter. I follow him on Facebook, and he posts some pretty awesome stuff. The deal, though, with Jesus, Jesus was a carpenter in a land with no trees. How does that... I am exaggerating, of course. Me and Ryan actually spoke about that one day on the show. We were talking about, was it Gaza or was it the West Bank? One of them was, the image I'll speak for myself, have always had ever since I was a kid was of Israel, Gaza, all that place, just being a dry desert, yucky. Who would want to live there to begin with? And that's just always been the image in my head. When you do see images out of that region, it's usually of what? Destruction and death, buildings destroyed, missiles have destroyed this land over here. It's pretty rare, I feel, that we get a good, honest view of the beauty that some of these places actually have. So that's just my thinking.
No, there's a lot of propaganda, and it's absolutely intentional. And different countries in Africa, this same thing. Yes, is there some really terrible bad things happening? Yeah, and mostly because of Western powers. But there's so many places that are just absolutely gorgeous, and beautiful cities, just
Mm-hmm.
not what people would expect because of things like Trump. The things, point A right there is he's always saying disgusting and deplorable things about countries that he's never even visited.
Yeah.
Like, where do you
Yeah.
get off?
Right. And I kind of wonder if I'm in my 50s. I'm kind of a grown man. That's the vision I have in my head. And I'm an open-minded person. I can only imagine the image that he truly has and believes about these other countries.
Yeah.
Not that he knows different and yet spouts lies. I really believe he believes these things.
I'm sure.
It's horrific, really.
Mhm.
Geo Sam is here. Good morning, Geo Sam. It's never too early for atheism. No, this is indeed an ungodly hour. Thank you for joining us. And the Mighty Philibert's here. Mighty Philbert, he's been dropping some videos. If you're not subscribed to Philbert, go check it out.
Yeah, I've been getting his shorts. His shorts have been coming across my feed. I mean, his video shorts, not his shorts,
Yes.
if you know what I'm saying.
Not his short shirt.
Hi.
No time for romance. Get a room, you two. Get a room. So, yeah, I enjoyed. Tell me about how the rest of the show went. You said MLMs and a certain mindset tends to fall for that. It actually goes back quite a ways, doesn't it? The MLM thing.
I don't know how far back it goes, but I would assume like Avon-ish times are probably when it first started.
Yeah,
So when
really
was
started
that?
taking hold.
Yeah.
Avon, what was that other one? Amway.
And Amway.
Yeah.
Amway was like one of the early ones too. But I think almost all of us, except I don't know if all of us, but I know I had fallen for an MLM before. Kelly said she had. I think AJ.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've all been there, and I wonder if it is correlated to the times when we were religious and had magical thinking, and they you want for something better, and that's how they get you in. You get suckered in for this promise of a better tomorrow or a better financial freedom, relationship with money, and you end up in the same damn place. Broken and no better than you were before, back at square one.
I wonder, to be honest, I would have fallen for an MLM or some of that business. Let me turn that off. I would have fallen for an MLM. And I'm going to say this, you guys, let's not judge, okay? Had I not been so lazy, I'm such a lazy person. Whenever you see an MLM is like, oh yeah, you can do this, but you got to do this, and you got to do this, and you got to do this, and you got to talk to this person and talk to that person. You got to follow up here. And I was just like, you know what? I just can't do that. I couldn't do it. Could not do it. I will tell an interesting story, and it's interesting to me for those who care. Tupperware. My mother was really big into Tupperware.
Tupperware, I think, got all of us, man. I think we've all had a relationship with Tupperware.
One of the things during my parents' divorce was that one of the things my dad was bringing as evidence to kind of try to get custody of us was that, I mean, we were little kids and we had to take photographs in the schools with our hands over our knees because our pants all had holes in them. We were collecting beer cans on the side of the road to get our baseball cleats. And yet my mother had this wonderful, beautiful wardrobe of clothes that she wore to her Tupperware parties. And she was always, I mean, it was just, yeah, I very much remember that from my youth. And then the Tupperware, we always had Tupperware. We had an aunt, her aunt, actually, my mother's aunt, Aunt Doris. Oh my God, I probably told you the story. She was the one who had the poodle and the yardstick, and she would whack the poodle with the yardstick. Yeah. Oh, she was horrific. Anyway, my mother would pay Aunt Doris in Tupperware for babysitting us kids. There's Tupperware everywhere. Oh
my gosh.
Everywhere. All kinds of Tupperware too. The fancy stuff, little weird things, that you don't even know they make. We had
right. The little cool doodads that they have. Like there's like salt shakers people probably didn't know existed, and like little tiny keychain Tupperware that you could take with you. And I mean, all kinds of little Tupperware things that you would get for hosting a party. Like that would be kind of the the draw to hosting a party. Not only would you get, earn Tupperware, but then you'd get like cool little gifts and gadgets that weren't available to other people as well. And then the people who went all in, like I wonder how much they lost with having invested in all of this Tupperware. And yeah, I do think that Tupperware was pretty cool. I'm not saying it wasn't.
For what it was.
For what it was, absolutely. I think it's changed now. But gosh, the women who thought they were getting into financial freedom and then just ended up
That's right.
having boatloads of Tupperware to give as gifts because they didn't know what else to do with it.
That's right. Well, and it was really what it was these poor women. I say poor, lower income females, because, this is the 70s and 80s. They'd just gotten the no fault divorce. They just gotten the ability to have their own checking accounts and without a man on it. This is some pretty wild stuff. And Tupperware took advantage of them. It was a huge company that made millions of dollars off the back of poor women rather than paying salespeople to go out and hawk their shit.
Right.
Hashtag
cut out the middleman. Cut out the middle, but then you don't really pay the people who are doing all the work. And that's one of the things you don't end up thinking about until you're in it. But all the time that you invest, the miles that you drive, the money that's spent on food or whatever, maybe even trying to hang out with these people and maybe go out for drinks or whatever, depending on the MLM, you put so much money out that you never recover that. And I think Ember gave us some stats with how much average people made with MLMs, and it was pitiful.
Absolutely. And one of the things, whenever you're an MLM person, kind of like at the middle range or even the top or wherever, I don't know how far, I've never really been a part of one, but every time you get a new person on board, not only do you get a new person out there hawking your crap, but that person themselves, as we've kind of mentioned and alluded to one way or another, often is a bigger customer to you buying your crap than they get with other customers. I mean, it's really unfortunate that people fall for it so much as they do.
Yeah, you have to you have to get your downline, right? I think that's probably what most of them call it. You have to get your downline. So you're hawking it to people and you're putting on the just like the JWs come to your door and they're nicely presented and they're smiling at you and they've got something to offer that you can't refuse. And MLMs do the same thing. They want to hang out with you. And my life is so great and things have been so much better now that I'm on my own, earning my own money, making my own schedule. Sounds great. But they're just floundering too. It's just all a facade. They say a lot, fake it till you make it. And you really are supposed to fake it till you make it and present this face of life is great. I can't wait till the paradise comes. I'm rolling in the cash.
That's right. Rolling in. Which one used to, the ladies kind of high up would get pink Cadillacs?
Is that Mary Kay?
I think it feels like Mary Kay. Is it Mary Kay? Somebody in the chat will
somebody will tell us. It could also be Avon, but yeah. And I bought Avon. I bought Mary Kay because I know people who sell. I just have to ask. I wanted to talk about it on the show yesterday, but I forgot. But I wanted to ask people: have you ever fallen for the scam? I don't want to say scam, but when I was younger, I did not realize that when Avon or Mary Kay would offer to do your makeup or, for your friends or whatever, I didn't realize it was a whole sales pitch. Duh, stupid me. I was young and dumb because she was coming at me oh my God, because I was young, 16, 18, I don't know. And she's like, oh, you should be a model. And I was like, oh, okay. You want to come do my makeup? Okay. Well, that sounds great. You ding dong, stupid ass. Yeah, I ended up buying some stuff. I don't know, probably mascara or something like that. Yes. Yeah, they have so many little tactics to get you. Oh, free product? Sure. Show me what you got.
Absolutely. It from whether they're trying to get you as a MLM member underneath them or whether they're just hawking their crap. And I feel like kind of the deal is once they've, all right, so I'm a person, I get convinced into being part of this. And then after a little while, I'm like, oh man, I don't think this is really such a good idea. And it feels like they tend to be hard to get out of. You're kind of trapped. You've invested so much, time and money, and then embarrassment going around to all your friends hawking their shit. Anyway,
the embarrassment is for real. The embarrassment is super real. But you have, even with your downline, like you want them to succeed because the more they succeed, you succeed. So again, you're continuing to give them this idea that if they're not doing well, it's probably something they're not doing. They're not dedicating enough time. They're not making enough calls. It's the same old rhetoric with the calls. If God's not answering your prayer, you're not praying hard enough, you're not knocking on enough doors, you're not placing enough watchtowers. It is so similar. It's absolutely bananas. I can't just sometimes it shocks me with the same damn tactics that they use.
Yep. Bree, good morning, Bree. Bree says MLMs ruin friendships. I can do. Yeah, no doubt. I believe because it's pressure. It's like, as Ryan has just compared it to, obviously, it's kind of like a religion in a way, like you get around an Avon salesperson, especially if they're in the zone or whatever, and they make you uncomfortable. You don't want to be around what it is. It's a sale, it's a MLM, any of that business. And they're just as dedicated and driven. Yeah, it's the pressure. That's kind of,
that pisses me off. Like even if I go into a store, like a clothing store, and people were like following you around wanting to help you, if I want your help, I'll ask for it.
Yes.
I really will. I will really ask for your help. Like greeting me, that's fine. I'll have a conversation. But oh, what about this? Don't know. Don't go showing me things unless I ask you to show me things. You don't know what I like. Stop. I don't like that. Pressurized.
There's a store somewhere here. I don't remember whether it's I don't remember what it is. Somebody in the chat might hook us up with some knowledge. When you walk into the store, they've got two different baskets. One of them's a green basket and one of them's a red basket. Yes. And the red basket essentially says, just leave me alone. I'm doing my business. And I don't know. One of them. Yeah. And the green basket is like, hey, if you feel like selling me shit, I'd be like carrying 5 red baskets with me.
Just come help me.
Yes, I'm a red basket kind of person. I don't want the salespeople coming out, even in a shoe store. No, man, I got it. I don't need your help.
No, just I mean, if sometimes like with shoes, you might do you suggest which shoe is better? Because I did used to work in shoes, and I would get informed of what the shoe is supposed to, whether or not it's true, I don't freaking know, but I was informed about the product. So maybe you want to ask for help. Hey, is this a better impact running shoe than this one? But other than that, I don't need recommendations because you don't know what I'm looking for and why I'm looking for it. And even if I told you, you still just wouldn't understand the kind of weird shit that I, as a weirdo, like.
I've always been in the service department in one fashion or another. So, I kind of feel you whenever you say that. You've been a shoe salesperson. I totally get that. That's why whenever a shoe salesperson comes up to me, I'm not a dick because I've been there. I know they have to do that. If they don't do that, they get in trouble for not doing that. I totally get that. Yeah. I was helping my mother-in-law with her cable yesterday, and I was, doing the logging into the support, and the people over there are like, hey, how are you doing with your cell service? I'm like, listen.
Oh God.
I'm good. No, I'm good because I'm working on her cable and her TV. And it's their job to try to sell me cell service as well. So I'm like, I'm good. We're good. And rather than just being a jerk about it, because sometimes they can be pushy. But at least in this case, I remember Xfinity having it's actually Xfinity having a really bad reputation for being
pushy,
having bad customer service.
Oh, just bad.
I mean, it was in the news, all over the news. And then they fixed something. I don't know. Since I've switched to them, they've had great customer service every time. Yeah, they're pretty awesome.
Have you ever been hoodwinked into going to one of those like sales pitches for, what are they called? The homes that you rent only part-time.
B&B?
No.
Timeshare.
Timeshare, thank you. Oh my gosh. Have you ever been swindled into that?
I have never fallen in for a timeshare. And I want to say once again, only because I've never had enough money in my life to actually afford anything like that. There's no way I could have ever afforded anything like that ever. But had I been able to, I might have. But I've heard the ads, this guy going, did you fall for the timeshare shit? Call us and we'll help you get out of it. I've heard that.
Oh,
it must be bad. Yeah.
Oh, damn. I really wish I'd known that. Well,
apparently there's been a lot of them.
My friend sold me on this idea of going to this timeshare meeting thing, because if you went, you would get a 3-day cruise for free, just for going.
Okay.
And no sales attached. Like, you didn't have to buy anything. You just had to sit and listen to these different sales pitches on the timeshare.
Okay.
So we went. And we were there for 6 hours because we weren't allowed to leave. I mean, we probably could have left, but we wouldn't have got our free gift. So we were there for like 6 hours listening to these sales pitches, and we just tried to feign interest. Okay. Yeah. So we just feign interest the whole time. And I'm like, if we don't get rewarded by the end of this, I'm going to kill this bitch. I'm really going to kill her for making me sit through this. Well, we did. We didn't buy anything, and we got our free 3-day cruise, and it was an enjoyable cruise.
Good. Awesome.
It actually worked. I had to pay for like all the, flight and stuff. So it cost a little bit of money, but I mean, considering, it was fun.
Yeah. That's all. But you just had to sit through 6 hours of pain and suffering.
It was miserable. I mean, they had water and like some snacks, but I was like, oh my God, we're going to die.
Yeah.
They're going to keep us forever.
I would, oh man, no, I don't know. Cruise. No, it's not worth it. I like a cruise, but not that much. Vesta Pri is here.
It was worth it, I guess, in the long run, but,
oh yeah. Well, that's cool. It was, I mean, hey, it sounds like you had a good cruise, and you have a fun story to tell.
Yeah,
so there's that. Glenn is here from Double G Videos. You can't buy happiness, but you can buy a new guitar, and that's kind of the same thing. I want to say that people who say you can't buy happiness are essentially rich people telling you to be satiated with being poor. That's what that's all about.
Exactly.
Telling you not to want more than you have. That's kind of what
money isn't everything.
Another thing you'll often hear. Yeah, money's not everything. Says the people with money. Sorry. There's another one that always gets me, and it's the one that you hear in the acting circles. It's like there's no small parts, only small actors. And that is something that is said, I feel, to intimidate actors who have gotten small parts into just accepting that small part. If there were no small parts, just small actors, then big actors would be taking small parts.
Right.
Yeah. Well, just try that. If you're ever in a play and you get like a one-liner where you come up and goes, she's coming. And then you have to, like in the, some Shakespeare play, and that's your one line. And you've got this guy up here playing Lear, and they give you that shit. Well, I'll tell you what, let's switch with me. And since it's, yeah.
Well, Chris,
let's see how small an actor you are. Oh, you're a small actor, apparently, since you don't want this small role. So
it was an honor to be nominated, Chris.
It was.
I don't care about winning. I'm just glad I was
nominated. Yeah. For those of you who don't know, if you get your star in Hollywood, it's because somebody paid $75,000 for that to happen. It's not because you did anything great. It's really just it's a cash transaction, for those of you who know. Now, not everybody knows this, and not everybody, even the people who get them, not everybody knows it. I mean, maybe a family member or a producer or some company that pays for these things. Just know, though, that's not a gift. That's a purchase.
Who owns that sidewalk?
I don't know, really. I don't know.
Interesting. I never really thought, not that I even give a crap, but it's interesting.
Yeah. Well, one of the things is that Donald Trump actually does have a star. I think he still has it on the walk.
Yeah, so he did. I don't know if he still does, because weren't people messing with it all the time?
But, if it's still there, just know if you're ever in West LA and you need a place to go to the bathroom, at least there's a public restroom available.
Right there in public.
Right there. Yes, I think it's been defaced, and all of this was all happening before we know he's just going to be a full-blown authoritarian fascist. This was years ago whenever they were defacing he was just like a normal medium fascist back then.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Now he's just full blown.
Yeah.
With the help of our government, just helping him along.
Yes. Locked on Law says Trump's star has been destroyed more than all of the others combined. People hate him. Oh, just wait.
Yeah. Secular feelings, I'll come with you. I'll do the lookout.
That's right.
While you swing, okay?
Secular feeling says, where is this star and what's the closest store to buy a pickaxe? # truth. That's the problem. It has been destroyed multiple times. Yeah. I wonder if there's like a what do they call it? Compilation video of it being destroyed. Sure was.
That would be epic.
That would be. It would be. Anyone want to gift me $75,000? That'd be fantastic. I could use it. I am an actor. You know, all I need is $75,000. I have my own. If I had $75K,
right?
Bought myself a star on the Walk of Fame or whatever, and then like really showed that out, would that give me real work as an actor?
I wonder.
I wonder.
Like, who is this man? Why
Who is
haven't
this
I heard of him? He must be really good.
If there's somebody like really in the agency, you know, in the business, like a high-powered agent, they probably know about the star and what it takes to get it, and they would be thinking, "Who is this man with 75,000 disposable dollars?"
Right.
That would be about the extent of it.
Now, if you buy a star, okay, so Muttley, if we bought a star for $75K, I mean, it's our star. Can we just put whatever the F we want on the star?
That's a good question. I don't know. I don't know what's on the stars to begin with. I think aren't they limited with just like a small
names?
Image and a name, like a old style camera reel and a name or some business like that. Maybe with their pictures or handprints or some other shit.
Oh yeah, aren't there places where there's? I don't know. Is that the same place? Maybe there is handprints. I thought. I'm not sure.
I think it is.
I don't know.
Watch as I expose my ignorance on the stars.
Yeah.
Aaron says, I may not be rich, but I have 7 pair of purple shoes. That's wealth in and of itself.
Me.
Right there. I'm just saying, yes.
Okay.
Now you're just flaunting it though. See?
Lucky you. Aren't you special?
That's right. Locked on Law, and I'd like to play Jeff Beck, but we can't always get who's Jeff Beck? Oh, play like Jeff Beck. Gotcha. We were talking acting, and I thought that Jeff Beck was a character. Good morning, Rembrandt. I have no idea about guitars myself. I used to, I got my hand caught in a rod tongs in the oil field and kind of had some stitches and hurt my fingers. And as the doctor was sewing me up, I was like, man, this hurts. Will I be able to play the guitar when you're down and when it's all healed up? He's like, yes, you should be able to. I was like, great, because I never could before.
Magically.
That is a real story. I probably stole it from somebody else, but I mean, I really did have my finger. I really did say that to the doctor. It was all, whenever I was 18 when it happened. What I'm saying is I almost certainly had heard that and didn't make that up because I'm just not that creative a person. I would not have done that.
He probably didn't know and tells that story till this day,
Yeah. Chick Magnate says Grauman's Chinese Theater has the handprints. Awesome sauce. There you go. That's right. Okay. It's in the same neighborhood, right? Right there at the Stars. It's the Star Walk goes right in front of Grauman's. Am I right? I think.
Who? Grauman's? Oh, Grauman's.
Chinese Theater. Yeah, the Chinese Theater. Didn't it burn down?
Okay.
Again? It may have burned down. Living Without Religion. Good morning, Living Without Religion. From just a nominal search, there's little more to it than the money. You have nominated and selected by Hollywood Chamber of Commerce. Yeah. You have to. Yeah, a little more to it. Yeah.
I see.
Have
So
to
it
be
would have to be
nominated.
a legit name, I'm sure.
Yeah. That's why I was like, I'm actually an actor. I have an IMDb, so I'm qualified.
Right, qualify.
Not the rest of you punters, though. I don't know.
Not me.
I used to have a friend who called people punters. He thought it was funny. He's an English person. We've got a poll. Let me check my poll of the day. The poll is related to what we've been talking about, we haven't been talking about it at all. In fact, the question of the day is Christianity a religion of slaves created for slaves by slaves?
Ooh,
I know.
wow.
That's the question of the day.
That's deep.
At this point, we have,
To ponder on that one,
I
Chris.
think, yes. Yes, we have 28 votes so far. And our first choice on the list is running hot. 82% of the respondents have chosen number one. Absolutely. God is the slave master. Its followers are the slaves. That's her thinking. Yeah. Number two coming in is complex, contains themes of both slavery and liberation. Okay, I guess it does. It's odd though. I don't remember. I mean, God doesn't actually free the people. He does sell them into slavery, but it's usually a Messiah who comes, a judge or Messiah who comes along and frees the people, rises up and leads them. God doesn't do it. People do it. God sells them into slavery, and then people fight their way out after they get oppressed for them. I've been studying this thing lately. Not like Dr. Kip studying or nothing, but so number three, no, the core is spiritual liberation, though later misused. I think, I don't know. Maybe you struggle to find that in there somehow. And then, of course, the fourth option is absolutely not. It is fundamentally a religion of justice.
Wait.
Nobody has chosen that. Clearly, this is biased.
Nobody's chosen it.
Nobody's chosen that. Bunch of heathenistic. You're all going to hell. You're going to hell, and you're going to hell.
Free
You
health
too.
for everybody.
Free hell, free. That's right. It is free, in fact.
Oh,
True
welcome.
enough. Paid for with your screams, because God loves screams. Let's see. Slavery was just fine back then. Slavery indeed. All right. So here in a minute, it's 7:37 coming out of the sky. I would like to play for you. Those of you who don't know, today it's gonna be a little bit of a day. I have a couple of videos I'd like to share with my friends. One of them is it's only like 5 minutes long. And it's the latest episode of the Evil God Monster of Abraham series. I've finally gotten off my ass and created another episode of the Evil God Monster of Abraham series, episode 15.
Whoa.
I learned so much about the Bible in doing these episodes. I didn't know matter of fact, I was like, one of the reasons why it took me so long to get to episode 15 is because it's boring. There's nothing there. God comes along. Abraham hallucinates his God promises him lots of children, gives him some land, and that's kind of it. It's really short, although then the guy cuts some animals in half and God floats between them, and I mean that's it really. There's very little,
Kind of boring.
very little, boring. But as I was going through it and making the video, first of all, it's the first time we actually see a physical incarnation of God in any form, and it's a burning pot of fire. I've claimed God is an evil pit demon.
Ooh.
Throughout the Old Testament, God is represented by fire and smoke, more of a Balrog than a gentle old man. So there's that. And then there are many hells. Yes, I've been married too, GeoSam. Show us your monster.
Hells.
So yeah, so there's that. But then the other thing about this chapter is that this Lord creature lies to Abram throughout. At the very beginning, it opens with Abram going, I don't have any children. God comes in and goes, Ryan, I am God. Right. That's the first thing you say is, I don't have any babies. It's not like, oh, God, look at you. Wow, God, how are you doing? Nothing.
Like, oh my God, you're God? Whoa.
Yeah. Anything. No hi, bye, your leave, or nothing.
This
Just
is so
give me
cool.
shit.
I'm talking to God.
Just give me shit.
Right. Hey, you're God?
Yeah.
Fuck you, bro. I need some babies.
That's right. And then this God creature lies. Everything is now the only thing it says is true is that Abram will have lots of children or descendants. Hi, that scared the shit out of me. One of my dogs touched my foot. The only thing that it said that is true is that he will have lots of children. So let's watch that. I'm going to drop that one. This one here goes live. It's members only right now. Instead of taking a commercial break, you guys are just stuck watching this. This one's actually, all right, so we'll watch this. This is my latest one. Wait a second. Evil God Monster of Abraham, you jackass. Get over here. Here we go. Evil God Monster of Abraham. Bear with me. Ryan, I'm going to mute myself and get a cup of coffee and watch this wonderful, powerfully educational video. Let's go here. And then here. Mute. The God of the Bible is a liar, and chapter 15 of Genesis proves it. Hello, and welcome to the Daily Atheist. I'm Chris Mallard. Thank you for joining me. In this episode of the Evil God Monster of Abraham series, we'll cover Genesis chapter 15 in the Book of Death. The chapter in which the evil God monster lies to Abram, reveals itself to be the fiery, flesh-loving pit demon it is for the first time, and once again, gives away other people's land. Stick around. Avoid having an evil God monster visit you in a drug-induced hallucination by hitting that subscribe button and then that little notification bell. Keep your drug hallucinations God-free, my friends. Now, on with the show. Okay, so chapter 15 opens with Abram talking to a vision in his head that he believes is the Lord. Naturally, the first thing he does when talking to the Lord is whine and complain that he doesn't have any children. The Lord assures him he will have children, more than the stars in the sky. Then, in Genesis verses 7, the Lord gives Abram a bunch of land that belongs to someone else. I am the Lord who brought you out of Ur of the Chaldeans to give you this land to take possession of it. Real quick, this is an anachronism we should kind of address. The Chaldeans appear... Chaldeans, if you're watching, I'm sorry if I'm saying your name wrong. The Chaldeans appear in southern Mesopotamia more than 1,000 years after the time of Abraham. So that indicates the final edited version of the story we got was written much later than the claimed time of the father of the Abrahamic religions. Anyway, back to Abram and the Lord. The Lord told Abram he was giving him some land to possess, and Abram, of course, naturally, immediately doubts the word of the Lord. But Abram said, "Sovereign Lord, how can I know that I will gain possession of it?" Rather than just saying, "Trust me, bro," the Lord tells him to cut some animals in half and tells Abram his descendants will be slaves for 400 years in a country not their own. Then they will get the land. All the land from Egypt to the Euphrates. But here's the truth history gives us. Their predictions of the future are actually our past, and we can easily tell they didn't come true. The answer from the Lord should have been no. Abram never takes possession of the land. Abram, later Abraham, remains a nomadic herder his entire life. He pitches tents, builds altars, and keeps moving. Genesis 12:8, 13:18, 21. The only piece of land he ever legally acquires is the cave of Machpelah near Hebron, which he purchases from the Hittites to bury Sarah, Genesis 23:17-20. Even that is explicitly described as a purchased burial plot, not a divine gift fulfilled. He never builds a city, never rules the land, never sees the promised reality. His story ends with him as a sojourner and stranger in Canaan. The last line of chapter 15 is the Lord once again giving away land that belonged to other people. As it tells Abram, it will give his descendants, presumably 400 years later, the land belonging to the Kenites and about 9 other peoples. You should know this never comes true. The descendants of Abram never possess the land promised. At best, they do get possession of a part of the land promised in Genesis 15, but even then it wasn't a gift from the Lord. They had to take it by force and only held it for a short time. So with the exception of Abram actually having many descendants, everything the Lord says in this chapter is a literal lie that we can look back on and confirm, both historically and biblically. That's right. Even in their own Bible, they never go on to write it in that they go back to receive that land. Never happened. So how do we explain the visions Abram allegedly had? Well, simple, really. Drugs. Yeah. Mandrake, henbane, and opium were all available in Canaan at the time. He could have used one of those hallucinogens in one of their various forms alone or in combination with ritualistic sleep deprivation and fasting. All of these things were used and practiced before and during the time these early texts were written, easily explaining the visions in this chapter. Let's use Occam's razor. Which is more likely? The creator of everything spoke to Abram, demanded he cut animals in half, then appeared to him in the form of a floating, burning fire pot, and then lied to him about pretty much everything. Or the person writing the story is describing a drug or religious trance-induced hallucination. Which is more likely? Genesis chapter 15 is full of lies, blood, and at best hallucinations. At worst, a horrific god of fire who is a compulsive liar. Exactly what you'd expect from the evil god monster of Abraham and its Book of Death. Remember, friends, don't let lying crackhead gods give you land that belongs to someone else by hitting that subscribe button and that notification bell. I have a whole playlist of me dismantling the Bible chapter by chapter. Click over here if you want to catch that from the start. All right, we are back. So thank you guys for enjoying that. I hope you enjoyed it. So the topic is slavery. I noticed you guys talking about slavery. In a minute, I'm going to play you a video that I just created yesterday, and I've been editing. It takes too long to do that shit now. I got to be honest, but I've been editing it, and you will see that video here in just a minute. And it is on the topic of slavery because it's really about not only does God condone slavery, he literally uses it against his own people as a tool of punishment. And then the New Testament says you should be happy with it. So I have a video that we're going to talk about in just a few minutes about that. Let me see. I did notice, though, that Dr. Kip was in the chat. So, let me know. I'm sure, Dr. Kip, if I'm wrong, my fourth grader overview of the chapter 15 of the of Genesis. But that's what I took away from it. That's the chapter 15. The evil one has been just dying for me to make more of those. So I'm going to try to get to one a week. Now, really, like I said, it took me a while to do this one because it was boring. And then once I realized my angle, I really look at it, go read it. This God lies to this guy the whole time. Nothing he says comes true. And I was like, okay, that's a fascinating vantage point, but I knew the next chapter's got some good shit in it. You know what happens in chapter 16 of the evil God monster of Abraham?
No, I'm not sure.
Yes, that's where Abram, despite the Lord telling him specifically, and he going through the ritual that he would get offspring, he doesn't believe the Lord, and Sarah can't have children, so they give Hagar to right. So now I want y'all to remember, in my opinion, this is how I feel about this, and I'm sure, correct me if I'm wrong, but men almost always wrote these things. So whatever it says that Sarai couldn't have children, well, it was almost certainly Abram who probably couldn't have children, because Abram, I'm just saying. And then whenever Sarai came and offered her servant, her slave, it says slave, the version I saw says slave, came and offered her slave to him, I don't know that it really went down like that. I just don't see that that's probably the way it happened. I could be wrong.
I don't know.
This seems like a story written by a man, just like the story of Lot. You think his daughters came out of that story and come out of that cave and wrote down that, oh, yeah, we sexed up our papa?
No.
Yeah, no. That story was obviously written by a man.
Definitely was written by a man.
To explain how he got his...
What fantasy of a guy, I guess. I don't know, some creepy guy from 2K years ago, allegedly.
To explain how Lot got his own daughters pregnant. He got his own daughters pregnant. It was apparently became commonly known, and that's the story written to explain how that happened. I would like to mention that also in chapter 14 of the Book of the Evil God Monster, in chapter 14, it actually tells the story of Abram as a warlord who goes, his nephew Lot is in Sodom. 4 or 5 kings, I think it's five kings come along, and they raid Sodom and Gomorrah. They take all their food, they kill all their people or some business like that, and then they go away, and Abram has to go chase them down and get the products back or whatever and save Lot. That right there is almost certainly a more likely telling of how Sodom and Gomorrah was destroyed. As if ever it was truly destroyed, that's almost certainly how it was, by an armies who came through, took everything they had, and burned the city to the ground. Because that happened, right? Yeah. So, they literally tell us in chapter 14 that happens. And then I don't remember which chapter it is further down the road, they tell us the story of Lot and the God destroying the cities. So that one there is just kind of,
I who knows what, if any of that ever happened, but likely the city, if it was destroyed, was probably due to invasion or something like that. Or maybe it was just somehow a fire. But I mean,
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. Chapter, I think it's 18 and 19, maybe say, hey, this was God doing this. Chapter 14 actually says, hey, here's a manly way it actually happened. And then it's like you can see that those two, very fascinating. I think it's 18 and 19. Yeah. I learned the Bible. And there's also the story of the Levite who goes through. It's the other side, the angel's view. In the story of Lot, there's a view from the old man's side, then there's a view from the angel's side. In the story of Lot, it's through the old man's eyes. In the story of the Levite, it's through the angel's eyes. The angel's in the story of Lot. In the story,
remember
the Levite, yeah.
I don't know if I remember.
Yeah. He's the one who comes to a town. An old man takes him in. The whole town decides they want to have sex with this man, and the old man. The old man throws his virgin daughter out to them.
Yeah, okay. I'm sorry. I do know that one.
Yeah. This is the one where the Moabite. No, this is the one where the young man cuts up his own dead female person. And, I mean, concubine, I think he calls her. Part of the deal is in the story, though, in the story of this poor woman, I don't even remember her name. Does anybody know her name? The story of the Levite? This poor woman who I don't even think is named, she was married off to a man against her will. She ran away from him to Bethlehem. He left his hometown and went to get her, then forcibly took her from her family. I thought her family probably gave her back because you know how it was back then, but she didn't want to go. Took her to this town, threw her out to get raped. Whenever the horny horde of homosexual Hebrews came after them, I know they weren't homosexuals, Ryan. It was a power thing. I know. We talked about that. The horny horde of Hebrews came to assault them. He's the one who threw her out. This woman's life was horrific. And name, did she have it? I know, right? Kip Davis's name. What name?
Yeah.
Women didn't have names. I mentioned that actually in episode 5 and 6 of the Evil God Monster of Abraham. It actually talks about how this guy begat this guy begat this guy. An entire generation of humans on the planet is populated, and they never once mention a woman. Not one. The chapter before that, they do mention women, and that it's another thing where they go through another begat. But in that one, they do. But Bob begat sons and daughters. But other than daughters, the word daughters at every one, there was no vaginal mention at all. No women, and that's one of the things I've talked about. I cannot imagine that in this ancient patriarchal society that the men did all the hard labor when it come to babies and raising them. I cannot imagine that the men sat at home changing all the diapers and taking care of wiping the runny noses. And they didn't have diapers back then, but they had something similar. So don't bash my balls on it, kids. We've been through this before in the chat. People are like, they didn't have diapers. I'm like, dude, they did. I look at fashion. Anyway, not the point. So, yes, what was the point?
I mean, it's that basically revisionist history enjoys erasing women's work and their not only their autonomy, but their historical achievements, their inventions, their wisdom, their writings. I mean, how much of the stuff about Yahweh is actually about Asherah? We'll likely never really 100% know, but it's just gone. It's not hers anymore. It never happened. Women weren't powerful. They weren't priestess. Right. They didn't have temples, right? Like that was not important. That's all bad, actually. They're idolatry. Right. And you see that that's the same ish that Christians say today. All that same rhetoric.
Yeah,
they see us as property.
Asherah, I feel. Correct me. I say that a lot. But Asherah and the faith that went along with that was hijacked, like the people who wrote the books of the God of Abraham hijacked a lot of different aspects of a lot of different religions. Looking at you, the story of Gilgamesh. So that was hijacked. But when they took of it and bastardized it from the flower that it was to what they wanted, to the man, because the Old Testament is all about subjugation of women first. Very first. Women are nothing but property of the Old Testament. You can't have a woman God.
Right.
Not right.
I mean,
there
was. I mean, it's in the text, but as it, as time went on and people want to change things and hide things, they have certain ways that they can do that. And so they did.
Yeah. You know, Theophilus says Mary is the only woman mentioned in the Quran. Really, by name? Really? That's the only woman. I know it does mention, well, maybe it's not the Quran.
Yeah, I don't know.
It
because
does mention,
they mention his wife, right?
Yeah, but that might have been the Hadith, which is the books written by people around him telling the story of his life, as opposed to the Quran, which is actually the Archangel Gabriel's interpretation through God to him in light of the story, something like that. Yeah, so I did not know that. So that would be good to know. But either way, neither one of them give any women any credit at all. And really, kind of when you learn about Muhammad, my understanding, he's really just kind of a poor desert guy. He wasn't all that much. He married well, and he used that to his advantage.
Yeah,
very much so.
He did. And then that happens all throughout the Bible. There's many instances of.
I can't blame him. I did too.
What?
Sorry, marrying smart.
I mean, hey, if you can join in matrimony and make it both, hopefully make your life better, then more power to you. But in the Bible, who was it? Solomon, who married somebody that helped get him riches and all kinds of like artisanal things and of that nature. And also with, is it Ahab and Jezebel? Their connection between the peoples, a marriage of convenience, maybe, possibly, probably, but to build the kingdom's relationships and make them stronger. But a lot of benefits there, a lot of benefits from a Phoenician woman, and then getting your temples and yada yada yada, and then you just treat her like shit in the scriptures after you took all that from her. And basically your lineage is being passed down through her, whether you like it or not. So
how there's people who often we compare like Christian conservative MAGA people to Islamic extremists, the far right wing of both religions.
They all have their extremes.
They're all the similarities. Yeah, the similarities between those groups of people. All right, so whenever you take, this is kind of how I'm feeling. This is how I'm feeling about this. Essentially, the people who believed and wrote the books of the Bible, bear with me, I'm using a broad term, were essentially the MAGAs of the day, the far right wing, uber religious. The rest of the world was going on with their lives, doing things, having boats, and these people were committing their lives to their God and doing what these people even today still do. It just seems to me like the people who wrote these books and who continue who gravitate towards this religion of oppression are what we would refer to as that right-wing religious mentality. That's why it's hard to put it down into one word. I don't mean, not all conservative people are like this, but all of these people tend to be conservative.
Yeah, there's that exceptionalism. They're special. They are chosen. They have all the answers. They have the one true way to God. They have a monopoly on the divine. Men are they're at the top position of the authority chain, under Jesus is fake guy who doesn't exist. So basically, as a man, I can just interpret everything in the Bible to what I want it to be. And women just have to obey.
Yeah. I'm not really sure. I can't speak about certain things, but one of the things I feel is that Judaism and Christianity are essentially one half of our species enslaving the other half of our species. With those two faiths, they literally, I say two faiths, it's all one, right? I didn't mention Islam only because I don't know enough about it. It's obviously the same way in its oppression of women. The Abrahamic religions are really about oppressing women. A lot of it. I mean, that's it. It's
I don't think you can get around it.
No. Yeah. It's an enslavement of women. in one fashion or another. Now, that it does also enslave its own people. But, I actually have a video. I'm going to play us another video, Living Without Religion here, Commonality being fanaticism manifested in self-righteousness. Yeah, it's complicated. Of course, there's a lot of things besides, there's also how people are raised. But I don't know, we got people who, I'm far left, my twin brother's far right, and we were raised in the same, up until the age of like 13 or 14, we were raised almost the same.
Yeah.
We do have distinct differences. I take more after the one side of the family, my mother's side of the family, like physicality wise in certain ways. He took more after my dad and his side of the family in other ways. It's weird. I got my dad's smarts and open-mindedness. He got my dad's black hair and good hairline, that sort of thing. Anyway, so on with the show. I do now want to play, now that we're talking about slavery, let me check our poll again. And I'm glad Dr. Kip is here. I feel like I feel like it's almost validation for me whenever I play these and he doesn't call me names and say I'm stupid. Dr. Kip has never firebombed my house. And so that tells me I'm not doing so bad. Could be worse. So the question of the day is Christianity a religion of slaves, created for slaves by slaves? And so far, we only have 31 votes, you slackers. Why are you not voting, people? Links in the chat. Absolutely, God is a slave master. His followers are the slave. 84% still rocking that one. Number 2, complex, contains themes of both slavery and liberation. 13% are there. And then no, the core is spiritual liberation, though later misused. It's coming in 3%. Nobody so far has yet to say, absolutely not, it is fundamentally a religion of justice. Nobody said that at all.
No.
In fact, we don't even have any Christians watching. Lil of all trades, good morning. Kip, let's see what Dr. Kip says. Maybe he's correcting me now. Like, look behind you, man. I'm here. Let's see. No, Judaism and Christianity are not just the same thing. No, they're not the same thing. Not at all. Judaism is the property, also a product. Right? They have their differences. But they also have their uses. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and see, one of the things I don't know anything about Judaism. All I'm going about is off their text. Naked. I know nothing about Judaism outside of what I'm reading from the book that's given to me. That's all I know. And in the book that's given to me, whenever what would be a Christian who goes down to one of the billions of Christians on the world who goes down and buys a Bible, this is what it tells me are the laws of Judah, the laws of the ancient Hebrews. That's what it tells me. And that's what I know. There are so many more books and histories and so much more knowledge and wisdom than are contained within the New Testament, the what we call the Bible. Oh my gosh, it is so incomplete.
A broad range of aspects of Judaism that people have no idea about, because the Bible is the only thing that's ever freaking talked about.
Oh, yeah. Rational Poet Jackie said, good morning, Rational Poet Jackie says, what is to know, Chris? It is mythology, just like any other religion. I totally get that. Not all religions are specifically geared towards oppression. The religions of the Abrahamic religions they're rooted in oppression. And then the New Testament confirms that oppression. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. Like, if you talk about like Thor and those gods, they weren't about hurting their people, their own people especially. There's lots of different belief systems that are not like, that just aren't like that. That's almost specifically designed to oppress women. Women are a second-class citizen right from the very beginning. Not only does it happen with Adam and Eve falls for it, but later in the book of Timothy, we don't even have to wait until nowadays for somebody to look back and go, oh, hey, Eve fell for that, she's bad. Paul in Timothy, in the Bible, in the New Testament, looks back to the Old Testament and goes, look, she fell for this. This is why you're all inferior. Yeah. This book is nothing but oppression of women.
If you read it literally, which you can do, I mean, that's all true. Yeah. I mean, I don't believe it, but
right. No.
But yeah, if I were just to read straight from the book, I could say, well, right here, here's the proof. Timothy says this.
Right. Well, there's not just that. There are other examples. One of the things is like a First Timothy. Isn't he like trying to shut up women in a specific situation? Women right there are being chatty, and he's like, "Bitches, shut up." And it's almost nothing more than that.
Yeah.
You know, I can't hear what the guy is saying. Would you be quiet? And it's almost nothing more than that. But so many people have taken that scripture and really ran with it to use it to oppress women.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
They loved Timothy.
they love it.
The Theo Bros. They're all about Timothy.
Right. And the whole thing about that's a really cool point is that Yahweh was not native to Canaan. That would be the part of the deal is that, well, Canaan is who? Canaan is from Canaan. Canaan are descendants of Canaan. Canaan was the son of Ham, who was guilty of having sex with his own mother or walking. I mean, these were slave people cursed by Noah to be the villains throughout the rest of the Bible. That's whenever we say Canaan, that's who we're talking about. Whenever we're talking about the people who, my understanding, were who lived in Sodom and Gomorrah, Canaanites. You know, it's really an interesting how they, in one place, they try to wipe them all out, or they treat them as though. And anyways, it's obviously more complicated.
It's become like a pejorative.
Yeah, and yet it's a place.
Right. It's just a wide place that varied, you know, depending on the time, really.
Yeah. So once again, I'm going to play another little video here. I'm with me and Ryan. We will mute ourselves and we'll let you guys check this out. This is, you know, it is what it is. We'll see. Of course, I'll get the hate in the chat. Let's see how this goes. Fear not,
no,
my friend.
Theophilus. No, they did not Theophilus. They did not
What?
Theophilus. They did not Theophilus. They did not.
Canaanites sacrifice children to Moloch. You know, that's the whole thing. You cannot trust what these people say. I feel like they are just like the people today, just like the right-wing religious people. They lie all the fucking time. They project and they lie. If they are writing in their holy book if they are.
Every accusation is a confession.
Exactly. If they're writing in there that the Canaanites are sacrificing their children to anyone, I don't believe it because they are liars. I'd really rather hear from the Canaanites what they think. Anyway, let's do this thing. I want to show you people this thing and we'll see how you feel about it. This one actually is members only right now, but it will go live at 9 o'clock today. So let's see what you guys think of this. Go share. God of slaves. Actually, YouTube has got testing where you can try 3 different titles and 3 different thumbnails.
They just gave me that option as well.
So this is not the only title it has. Let me go here, and I'm going to go here, and then I'm going to go, is that cool? Let's go, yeah. And now I'm going to make this highlight, and I'm going to mute myself. Guys, all right, check out this video. Let me know what you think. I know it's, yeah, let me know. I'm just a shitty old guy. Let's do this thing. Here we go. Kick this pig. Slavery is not a side note in the Bible. It is law. It is prophecy. And it is gospel. The God of the Hebrews doesn't just permit slavery, it commands it, it enforces it, and it even turns his own chosen people into slaves over and over again. It's only via our modern moral sensibilities that slavery is no longer an openly practiced institution. Of course, it would be naive of me to claim there isn't modern-day slavery, but outside of the modern American prison system, it's not generally sanctioned by the state. But when it comes to God and the Bible, that's a whole different story. Section 1, the law of slavery. Let's start with the statutes. The Old Testament is explicit. Leviticus 25:44 through 46 gives Israel the right to buy foreigners and their children as permanent property to be passed down as inheritance. That is generational chattel slavery. Exodus 21:2 through 6 allows Hebrew men to be sold into slavery for 6 years, unless they choose to remain a slave for life after a ritual ear piercing. A Hebrew woman sold as a slave does not get automatic release, Exodus 21:7 through 11. I want to mention the reason a male slave might choose to remain a slave is because any wife or offspring he acquires while a slave stays the master's property. Essentially, they hold his family hostage. Exodus 21:20 through 21 makes it legal for a master to beat his slave. If the slave dies instantly, there is punishment. If the slave lingers for a day or two, though, before dying, no punishment because the slave is his money. Deuteronomy 20, 10 through 14 orders Israel to take women and children of conquered cities as plunder. Deuteronomy 21, 10 through 14 lays out rules for when you capture a woman and decide to make her your wife. This is not metaphor. This is legislation. The law books of the Bible build slavery into the fabric of their society. Section 2, God enslaves his own people. The Hebrew God does not stop at letting his own people enslave others. Time and time again, he personally sells, delivers, and gives Israel into slavery. He predicts it from the beginning, telling Abram in Genesis 15, 13 through 14 that his descendants will be enslaved for 400 years. Why would that be? They're his people. Can't he stop them from being enslaved? Apparently not. Exodus 1 delivers exactly on that in Egypt. In the book of Judges, it becomes a cycle. Israel sins and God sells them into bondage. In Judges 3:8, because Israel did evil, God's anger burns and it sells them into the hands of the king of Aram. The people serve him for 8 years until they cry out and God raises Othniel, a Messiah, as a deliverer. Judges 3:12 through 14. Israel falls again and God strengthens Elgon, king of Moab, who allies with the Ammonites and the Amalekites. They defeat Israel, capture Jericho, and Israel serves Elgon for 18 years until Ehud assassinates him. Judges 4:2 through 3. Israel is delivered into the hands of Jabin, king of Canaan, whose general Sisera commands 900 iron chariots. For 20 years they are oppressed with cruelty until Deborah and Barak lead a revolt that kills Sisera. Judges 6:1. For 7 years, God gives Israel into Midian's power. The Midianites raid the land like swarms of locusts, destroying crops and livestock, forcing Israelites to hide in caves. Gideon is called to lead their rescue. Judges 10:7 through 8. God sells Israel into the hands of both the Philistines in the west and the Ammonites in the east. For 18 years, they crush Israel, especially the tribes east of the Jordan, until Jephthah, who sacrifices his daughter via fire, eventually rises as a judge, or a Messiah, if you will. Judges 13:1. Once more, Israel does evil, and God delivers them into Philistine control for 40 years. This is the longest oppression in Judges, setting the stage for Samson's story of resistance and eventual downfall. Each time, the text is clear. God handed them over. God sold them. God delivered them into slavery. During the monarchy, it continues. God allowed Philistine dominations under Saul, Aramean oppression under Hazael, Assyrian deportations in 2 Kings 15 and 17, and finally, Babylonian exile in 2 Kings 24 through 25. The prophets double down. Jeremiah 25:11 declares 70 years of slavery in Babylon. Jeremiah 27:6 through 7 calls Nebuchadnezzar's God servant, empowered to rule over Judah. Lamentations 1:3 through 5 describes Judah groaning under the harsh servitude. The message is unmistakable. Slavery is not a tragedy in this worldview. It is a weapon God uses against his own followers again and again. Section 3, the gospel of obedience. When we move into the New Testament, the chains tighten. Ephesians 6:5 through 8 tells slaves to obey their earthly masters with fear and trembling, as if they were serving Christ. Colossians 3:22 through 25 repeats it. Slaves must obey in everything. Titus 2:9 through 10 commands slaves to be submissive and not talk back. 1 Peter 2:18 goes further, telling slaves to submit not only to good masters, but to cruel ones as well. Paul's letter to Philemon returns the runaway slave Onesimus to his master. He does not command release. He does ask for kindness, though. Points for that. And in 1 Corinthians 7:20 through 24, Paul tells believers to remain in the condition they were called, whether free or slave. No abolition, no liberation, no gospel of freedom, just obedience framed as godliness. From the laws of Moses to the punishments of judges and kings to the decrees of the prophets to the letters of Paul, slavery runs like a red line through the Bible. God sanctions it, God enforces it, God uses it as a punishment on his own people. And the New Testament instructs slaves to accept it as holy order. The Bible, God is not a liberator. He's a slave master. They say shepherd and sheep, but it's really master and slave. He binds, he sells, he commands obedience, and he calls it righteousness. This is not morality. This is oppression dressed as divinity. And if God is willing to enslave his own chosen people, what hope do the rest of us have? Check out my Evil God Monster of Abraham series by clicking over here. And if you're all right, let's see here. I am back. Let's see over here on this thing. I move my stuff around is why I did that. Did I stop? What are you seeing? There we
What
go.
am I seeing?
There
Where
we
am
go.
I?
There you
I'm
are.
confused.
I am confused. There we are.
Lost. I'm confused.
I
Where
have
am I?
turned. So yeah, that's kind of that's God is a slave master. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, it's like it's a prescribed way of life, man. It's like it's like telling you what you need to do. This is how you have to do it. This is how you treat certain people. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory if you ask me.
Well, I had, like I said, 3 different sections. The first section was God explaining to his people how they should treat slaves. The second section was how God himself, itself, treated slaves. And then people like to run to Jesus, right? We always love to run to Jesus. Of course, you know my feelings. Jesus is just a Band-Aid, just like a bandage keeping the evil God monster from getting you. But anyway, even in the New Testament, it doubles down on those commands. Thank you, Dr. Kip. Dr. Kip says, pretty solid. Chris, of course, there's a lot of nuance on this topic. Please, people should read Dr. Joss's book. I think that's interesting. Agreed. There's nuance on this. I mean, I even say this in the first, this isn't even an evil God monster. This is just using the New Testament. But it's just that there's so many different ways to see it and so many different older, more accurate, I would think, interpretations of these things. Like we start talking about the beginning of the Bible, the origins of the religion, and Ryan's face just goes, because Ryan knows so much more about what happens before the religion and where this shit came from. And I talk about it like this is where it started, and she makes his face like something in her stomach moved or something. And I'm like, no, I just don't know what the hell is going on.
Like when you said like, and in Timothy, when Paul said, and I was like, I was immediately like, but right. I can't always interject every time you say something. You know what I mean? So I gotta let you go with it. But
yeah. Well, I even part of my bag is this. You and I oftentimes will know Paul in 1 Timothy 22, I think it is kind of a good example. If you really look at the text, I don't believe Paul was trying to, but really maybe he was. Because if you go back and look at the text, I'm not saying, all right, so what I was going to say, I don't think Paul is trying to oppress all of women. I was saying, I think he was really just kind of, like I said earlier, just telling this group of women, hey, chill out. And that got stuck in there. And too many people have taken that to believe that he was telling all women in church they couldn't teach in church, they couldn't speak in church, something like that. That being said, upon even the second's reflection, I distinctly remember Paul going back to Genesis and telling these women, as Eve gave in to the serpent, she fell into transgression. She was weak. You are weak. You can't handle it. You should not be able to do this. I don't remember exactly the words, but he literally went back and blamed Eve. That's part of the name for our Father Flanagan's female hygiene products. Blame Eve. Anyway, but that's, I mean, it's maybe it's second. 1 Timothy 23 or some business like that, but that's my understanding. He goes through the complete list of blaming Eve.
I'm just saying Paul didn't write it. That was all.
Oh, yeah. Who wrote it? 1 Timothy. Oh.
That's a problem.
Am I right? 1 Timothy though? Yeah, it is right. 1 Timothy. Okay, gotcha. I'm not quoting the wrong book. I'm just quoting possibly the wrong person.
That's like for me a big problem. Like anytime I go into like the scriptures, I have to make sure, like, sure, I can argue about the scripture because, like you said, we have to read it literally for what it is because that's what their freaking doctrine's built off. But I like to remind them, Paul didn't write that, honey. Like, let's not be stupid. And then I'll go into like maybe an explanation of something. But yeah, I
got you. Well, okay, and that's good to know. Part of the deal is like I remember hearing the story about the slave being sent to Philemon by Paul, who was in prison at the time. And the story, I remember the priest telling, he's a preacher. He was talking about how Paul was in a prison. He was hung up by shackles and they had him in the waist, the prison shackle place. So essentially it was like all the human waste and the food waste and all that from this castle or whatever, wherever they're holding them, goes down and they shackle the people up and it goes about waist deep where they've got to sit in this human waste and all this. I don't know where the guy got the stuff, but that's always the story I remember hearing about Paul being imprisoned at this time and telling these things to this person.
He was getting his taint tickled.
We've got two different things, and this is beautiful. This is wonderful, beautiful. Ryan is so fantastic. We've got two things to say. One, Paul wrote these things, or two, Paul did not write these things, okay? The point I just briefly want to make is that whether Paul wrote them or did not write them does not make them legitimate. Even if it was the real, actual Paul, it doesn't make anything he says true or real. You're right.
Ain't wrong. You ain't wrong. He's a human. If he existed at all, he's just an everyday human like you or me, who thinks, allegedly, if we trust him, if this story is real. I'm sorry, I say that far too much. I have to.
You've got to.
You know what I'm saying? Then, we take him at his word. Scout's honor, Paul, okay? Between you and me, he had some kind of revelation. So he felt moved by something, his experience. We have to trust his experience, and that the Lord revealed himself to him and said, hey, don't be a dick to those Christians. Yeah. Sure, Paul.
Thank you, Godwin, for showing up. I think Paul needed attention. Yeah. The whole deal, it does nothing. It doesn't matter whether he wrote them or if we get like a videotape, we find it in a pyramid or some bullshit. And it actually shows Paul like cutting his finger and writing this shit in his own blood. That doesn't mean anything Paul said was true. But there again, also the other people, but the deal is I actually appreciate your viewpoint too. Because we all attribute these things to Paul, or at least to one author. They attribute them to it.
They do. Exactly.
Yes,
exactly.
yes.
And that's and that therein is the problem, which is why I first try to tackle that, because I want them to historically, if they ever did the research, it would just be so easy for them to see like, oh, that couldn't be written by Paul. If Paul lived here and then Timothy doesn't show up in history till whatever it is, I don't know, 2nd century sometime, then there's no way, unless he lived to be 100 and he didn't die like they said he died, right? So breaking that down first to me is because that's what broke it down for me, I guess I should say. Maybe that's why I tackle that first, because when I started to realize how it's not historical, it's anachronistic, I was like, wait, how can I even believe any of it's true? Like it's all a lie. Their doctrine's built on lies. And then you go further and realize like the translations are different from between like the original text and what we have now. And then yours says something different than the next religion. Like I can't trust any of it at that point.
Yeah. The whole early trends. Yeah. Oh yeah.
For me.
I didn't know enough about a lot of it, whenever I was younger. And then whenever I started going to church, kind of like I want to say mollify girlfriends.
Wait, say that again.
Part of the to mollify so a girlfriend wants you to go to church so you can, show them that you're a Jesus person. You know what I mean? That's kind of what guys do. That's where you go to meet women, go to church. Anyway, that's really all I know. I forgot what my point was now. Wait. I even wrote it down over here because whenever I wrote it down, because I know me. One of the things that got me was the different translations. Somebody who was sitting beside me, we were at her church, it was a girlfriend, she was reading an NIV version of the book that her and her mom had or whatever, and I had a King James version that was just in the back of the thing there, and this thing said, go to this place and take everything for yourself and then leave. My version said, go to this place, kill everyone, don't leave anything breathing, and then go leave. And I'm like, wait, why are these different? They should be the same, right?
Wow. Right.
These things should be the same.
Oh my gosh. Like what a huge difference. Like, very right different. There it shows you how much they're willing to cover up to make it look better or fit their purpose, whatever their interpretation is.
And I just want to say something. Here's just one of the biggest points of irony in our day. I think in our day really is how many Christians out there, anti-gay people, homophobic Christians out there, just love and swear by the King James version of the Bible. Is it not ironic? Is that not crazy?
Alexa, play, isn't it? No, oops, don't. Oopsie, don't listen to me.
Goodness.
I forgot she's right there. Sorry. I was going to tell her to play that, but don't. Yeah, because like, excuse me, the dude was flaming, was he not? Did he not have lovers?
Oh yeah, King James was all about it. King James was just the guy. He was open. I don't think there's any doubt. King James. But still, you know, some people take that version, and my understanding is they didn't even talk like that at the time. That's whenever they do go through all that. Yeah. For those of you who don't know, and I know there are a lot of people who don't know, you know, if you speak a different language, you'll know that they usually have a formal tense and familiar tense, tu versus vous,
Right.
in Spanish or so
Spanish,
forth.
yep.
English used to be that way as well. And in English, the formal was you. You are very nice. How are you? The informal was thee. How art thou? Thou, how art thou doing? You know, thou cutteth off thouest, right? Because you're my buddy. And then that faded away. They didn't even use that at the time. That's where you get a lot of the these and the thous in the King James version, right? It kind of it's all about the tie, the system. I remember there was this family who used to talk like that because they even said whenever you use the thee and thou, that's more family, that's more familiar. That's when you're saying to close, and really technically in other languages, that's how they use it. We had that in our language, but we got rid of it. But it lingers in Shakespeare with some old speech. You still get that.
Why did we get rid of that one? Do you know?
I think laziness, simplicity. Really? Yeah.
I was wondering if it had anything to do with like, because I'm stupid and I don't know. Like when things like industrialism and did it die down then or no?
I wonder if that's a good question. I wonder if it died down after the printing press.
Yeah, I'm stupid and I don't know, but I'm just wondering if like, hey, prices, I don't know.
Yeah. And Godwin here says, it did, didn't it? Godwin says, the olden speak.
Yeah.
That's what it says. The olden speak. And a lot of people say ye, but it's not ye, it's actually thee. It's supposed to be. Also, for those of you who don't know, a long time ago, most of them didn't know how to read. And that's why bar names and tavern names were like the Dog and Pony or the Whimpering Mule or, you know, the Lash and that's why they named them that. And they had images out there because people couldn't read. So they walk down the thing and they see an image of a, whining pony or a dancing dog or whatever. A horseshoe and a
right.
lucky thing.
Right. That's a repair shop or something.
Yes.
You don't even need to read. You can just tell. Yeah, that makes.
We're just dropping all kinds of knowledge.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Humans are smart, man. We do not give our ancestors. I say it all the time. They deserve just just so much more respect, man.
Oh yeah, they absolutely had a harder life than we do. I would never have made it.
Oh, frack.
I barely made it through the 80s. Oh my goodness.
And we always say, like, how do these people like who romanticize about going and living back in those times? I just want to beat my head against my desk. I'm like, no, you don't, honey. No, you do not want to go back to a time before like being able to wash your hands every single day before your meals and or having electricity, even if you didn't have phones, but just to have electricity to see at the flip of a switch. Running water is just, oh my God.
Right. Somebody made a comment on my Facebook. They often do this, or on my YouTube, one of my YouTube videos. I was like, okay, let me go look and see who you are. I went to his Facebook or whatever it was, and on his Facebook was an image of a husband, a wife. It was like a cartoon AI generated image. A husband and a wife and a kid. The woman is wearing like an apron, and they're standing in the kitchen. And she's smiling and she's happy and he's standing behind her and he's like, and it looks like a loving, wonderful situation. Really. I mean, it looks if that's what you want. Okay. And the bottom of it said something like, that the left wants to vilify this and make this look bad. Really, we don't. I don't think it's a problem if you want to live the life of a trad wife. The deal is they want to force that on you. They want to put you in the kitchen, don't want you out on your own. That's the difference. And these jackasses don't want to even admit that. And I'm like, oh my goodness.
I support your right. As a woman, if that's what you want for your life,
absolutely,
go get it, girlfriend. Don't take my right away to choose, bitch.
Yeah, exactly correct. That's the whole situation. It just blows my mind how people support that. It's misleading. Makes it sound like women are out there and oppressed because they can't have the opportunity to be a trad wife, and that's not the case.
Why do they
women fought very hard to get out of
as
that
an enemy, and they change our argument? That is not our argument, and it's pretty clear. I don't know that I've even heard. I don't know that I've heard once any woman say she wants to take away another woman's right to choose. Like if that's the life she wants to lead, I'm saying.
Yeah.
And if she don't want an abortion,
yeah.
I don't want to force you to get an. I have not yet to hear a woman say that they want to force another woman to do that, but you want to force me to live by your standards.
Right. Well, yeah, probably because there's a whole group of trad wives who are willing and like that's what their goal is. And they would probably happily force that on other women. I don't understand it myself.
So many of them are miserable. So many of them are so miserable.
Sometimes I fail on the cultural borders, and I don't understand. Let me ask, is the term Uncle Tom racist? Because the term Uncle Tom is referring to a black person who is actually not because they're black. The term Uncle Tom is a black person who's who's betrayed the black people. So I don't really know if it's racist.
I wouldn't use it. I don't know.
Okay, I would want to find out from the community. However, we all know what that means. And so in my world, it almost seems like trad wife would be the female equivalent of that, where a woman is betraying her own kind so she can sit in the shadow of a man and hope she gets the best shavings that slip off his table. Like that's allegedly sort of how it is with the Uncle Toms. They turn in their fellow black people to the slaveholders in hopes of a reward for themselves. That sort of thing. And that's just, I never understood that for either part. Like I never understood
your own community. I mean, Jehovah's Witnesses police themselves. I mean, they want us to live in a police state. That's what they're trying to get us to do. I just put a link in the chat. Jenny, her name is Jenny. She's a former LDS trad wife. And she is just being very honest about leaving her husband, like her abusive husband, and how he would hold money over her. Like she never had access to money. She had to ask for money for groceries. Like any way he could control her, he did. And, she's now discussing how she's rebuilding her life and community and raising her children. And they're so strong. And yeah, you would absolutely love her content if you've not seen it. But this kind of just made me think of like the trad wife, the look on the face of it. Like she just shows you how the face of the trad wife is not the reality behind the scenes.
Wow. Yeah. Her channel is, wow. I'll have to check this out.
And just like 3 months ago or something, or 4 months ago when I found her, she was at like 6K followers.
Yeah. Oh, wow. She's 100K. She's blowing up, and she's good on her.
Yeah. Her content is really good. Yeah. It's awesome. Behind the scenes. It breaks that, candy cookie cutter image that they want to put forward on social media to make it look like this glamorous life, making everything from scratch and, spending all this time with your children. And yeah, that is like a great thing. Wow. Sure. Absolutely. Yeah. But it's not when you're treated like that's all you can offer and you can do, it gets very restrictive. Like not you might want to do that for a certain period of time. Sure. But at some point your kids are going to leave the nest, and who are you going to be? Just some dude's property the rest of your life?
Yeah. Do you remember me telling you the story I read on the interwebs about this woman she married a man, pardon me, and they were religious, they were Christians. And as their relationship went on, he started taking them to more and more and more conservative churches. And every time it did, it gave him more rule over her and took more of her rights away. Until eventually she had no rights, and they were going to these Uber, and he was just loving it because he had now full control over her life. And that's when somebody does it on purpose. How many people out there do it subconsciously? They gravitate towards that just because they're shitty people.
Right. It's normal for them. Like it's almost a shocker for them to have a woman stand up to them. Like, wait, excuse me, what?
Yeah. When I got married to my first wife, she was older than me by quite a bit. Anyway, she had been married before, and I remember when we we moved in together, and we were I don't remember the part of the situation, but it got to where she was going to the grocery store and she'd come home, and when she came home, she would give me the receipt so I could make sure that she didn't spend money in the wrong way. Because that's what her ex-husband expected. Yeah. If you know me and anything about money, I don't like money. I just don't like having to worry about it. I'm horrible with money. I am not a controlling person. No. And I've not only, I was like, oh, you don't have to do that with me, first of all, but I found that kind of horrific.
It is. I don't know. Yeah. My ex used to wield control of money and things like that over me. At one point, I didn't even have a car. I was home stuck with no car, and he had the car. Yeah, it's just that's almost like a typical biblical relationship.
Yeah. Religion is kind of like an abusive boyfriend. Yeah. Go ahead.
I would just say for my community, that would be not out of the normal.
Not out of right. Interesting, isn't it? Sad, really. Especially considering how often they claim to be, their whole message is peace and love, mercy, kindness, but the closer and more you into it you get, the more restrictive and oppressive and hurtful and evil it turns out to be. It's
not peace and love if you don't see somebody as equal and deserving of the same treatment that you do.
Right. I got a couple of topics here that I'd like to talk about briefly. Let's take a quick break. And when we come back from the quick break, we'll talk about this topic that I want to talk about. Yes. Okay, hold on. Let's see. What should we do? Deathbed conversion Bibles. I'm going to go with postmortem. I like the postmortem. Everybody loves it. Here we go. We'll be back.
Do you have a loved one who's on their deathbed, but they've yet to give themselves up to the Lord?
Are you sure you don't want to come to Jesus?
No.
This is your final chance.
No.
Worried they're headed to the fiery pits of hell.
Your very last chance.
No. I've been wicked and sinful. I deserve to burn in the hot place.
As you wish. Farewell, my heathen husband.
Farewell, my...
Well, fear not, my wayward child. Introducing Father Flanagan's line of post-mortem baptismal kits. No more worries about being miserable alone forever. Be a good Christian and share that eternal pain and suffering with the ones you love.
I'm in hell. Not as hot as I thought it'd be. Kind of feels like Houston, minus the humidity. Hello. My favorite drink crafted to perfection. Ooh, and some dank ass weed.
I can't bear to be down on my face chanting, holy, holy, holy is the Lord, every day, all day, for all eternity, by myself.
Wow, is that George Carlin? And Alan Turing, look at that. Carl say, oh, I am so honored. You've been my hero since I was a kid. Neil deGrasse Tyson, what are you doing here? Oh, I get it. I get it. Schrodinger's heathen. Very cute, you. Very cute. That's fantastic. Oh, what is that? What is? It's holy water. Oh, it burns.
no, this isn't where I want to be. Pabst Blue Ribbon and a Marlboro? No!
Father Flanagan's post-mortem baptismal kit. Dead kid tested, Mother Teresa approved.
Is that the Pope and John Paul? Jim Jones and Jimmy Swaggart, huh? I can see that coming. Neil deGrasse, what are you doing? Holy, holy, holy is the Lord. Holy, holy, holy is the Lord.
Thanks, Father Flanagan.
Damn them to an eternity in heaven for only $59.99. They wouldn't appreciate it, but you'll feel better, and that's the point, isn't it? Get yours now. Your heathen loved one's time is running out.
Holy, holy, holy is the Lord. This is some bullshit. Holy, holy, holy is the Lord.
And we are back. There we go. And I want to mention, Ryan's not even on the screen. We lost her. Oh, there she is. You're so narrow whenever you came back. Yeah, no. Atheist to the Marrow, good morning. Thank you for joining us. Deviant Outcast, Greg S. Let me see here. I saw somebody in the chat say.
I saw somebody.
Did you?
I don't know why I said that. Oh boy.
Somebody made a comment. Somebody said it's their first time seeing that commercial, and I just wanted to mention that we do have therapists standing by. Hey, Jack, leave her ears alone. No. Don't eat her earrings.
Got to pay them in treats.
Yes. Stop eating her brains.
Oh, no.
Yeah, Jack likes to lick their ears for some reason. He's an ear licker. Yeah. So the question I have that I've been thinking about here is in my research for this most recent video on slavery, a lot of it focused on judges, you may have noticed, in the Old Testament. And here's what I know, or I believe, my limited understanding about what a Messiah is. A Messiah, the people are being oppressed by somebody, and the Messiah comes along and frees them from that oppression, usually kind of like in a fighter warlord kind of state. That's my understanding of a Messiah. So as we go through Judges, it describes quite a few times where, well, like if you look up the definition of Messiah, it'll tell you that Jesus is one, but there were many, right? And that's part of the deal. I think even the term judges is really referring to them as.
And it depends on your definition of what you think a Messiah is.
Yes. So, but as we go through and we look at those who were sent in the Bible to be Messiahs, there's usually one recurring theme when it comes to a Messiah, if we want to use that term. And that theme is that they free the people and they succeed.
Yeah.
Jesus is the only failed prophet. He's the only failed Messiah. When he failed to, now listen, here's the deal. All the rest of the Messiahs, they're like fighting the Ammonites or the Canaanites or something. Even like later on, they stepped it up to the Egyptians or the Babylonians, but Jesus is fucking around with the Romans, and that's a different level.
That's a no-no.
Of gameplay that he was probably not prepared for. I thought it was going to turn out good for him.
How serious they were.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's the whole deal. Is that, he was the only one who really didn't. So I was thinking about making a video about that. The failed Messiah. Mm-hmm. And listen and start out with the definition of what one is, list off those people in the Bible who fulfill that definition, and then their failure or success rate. I already did that, and briefly. And
it always needs to be said.
Yes.
We have to hash through these topics all the time.
Yes,
we do. We just because to combat like the stuff that they're putting out, we just have to.
And Dr. Kip puts even more sauce for this goose. He says there were lots of failed messiahs in the first century. And see, I wasn't talking about just the first. I wasn't actually, the only one I was talking about in the first century was Jesus. All the rest of the failed messiahs I was talking about are failed messiahs who are written in the Old Testament. So a lot of people don't know that even in Jesus' time, there are all kinds of guys kicking around claiming to be a Messiah in one fashion or another. Polyonus, I think, is one of them. There was another guy named Jesus.
There's Theudas, Judas.
Quite a few of them.
Yeah, I can't remember, but Paul even allegedly speaks about them, mentions, or the who was it he was talking to? Anyway, yeah. So it's in the Bible. Sorry.
It really much is. So based on the definition, that's what I was going to go. Based on the definition, I mean, had Jesus succeeded and vanquished the Romans from the thing, he would have been listed as a modern day judge, just like all the rest.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's an interesting way of seeing it. I wonder if that was, I mean, whenever because what we read is so through so many different people, so much different time and all this business. Was it the situation where Yeshua was a person who was trying to fulfill the role of a judge or a Messiah and who was trying to raise an army to throw off the Romans? And whenever he did get to the point, was starting to grow a little bit and he really needed the support of the other Jews in that one town, they said no. And it ended up costing him, and he got caught by the Romans and executed for claiming. I mean, that sounds more likely in the 17 seconds it took me to explain it than God actually redeeming his son and taking him. And anyway, go ahead. What were you going to say?
Yes, but I was thinking I forget which scripture it is. I'm sorry. But it's specifically, in the original Greek, the word that they use, chikiles, it's probably not that word, but it means like 100, I believe, that come to arrest Jesus. So when they came to arrest Jesus, it wasn't just like, a couple dudes.
Oh, right.
Like they rolled up deep.
That's right.
So why did they roll up deep?
That's right. Well, that's right. Because he had men with him. Remember, one of them even attacked a Jew, attacked a Roman, according to their own story, took off an ear, and Jesus somehow mitigated them and didn't get. See, that's the deal. A lot of times a Christian will go, whenever I say Jesus didn't sacrifice himself, they'll say he did. Look, whenever the Romans came, he actually went with them. I'm like, no, the only reason why he went with them when the Romans came to get him at the Garden of Gethsemane was because the Romans are coming to get you. And if you don't go with them, they're going to kill you. If your people resist, they're going to kill you all. Your options are go now with the Romans or die. Or your friends are going to get hurt. Yeah. And so when Jesus willingly went with the Romans, it's only because they finally caught him in the garden in Gethsemane, because that's where he was hiding, surrounded by his own people. And Judas had to betray him. If Jesus was sacrificing himself, he'd have been, hey guys, I'm over here. Hello, look at me. No, he was hiding. And Judas had to go up and kiss him because, right? Jesus didn't go down to the local Roman precinct and go, hello, knock on the door. I'm here to turn myself in. None of that happened. Let's see. I get the sense of what you're saying, but important to point out that the word Messiah does not appear in Judges. Yeah, I get that. I do. Oh, does it go with a king? I'll have to look into it. That's what I was saying. I want to look into it. I do have a vague understanding of what that is as far as Messiah. Dr. Kip was talking there. And I want to learn more about it. It's fascinating. The more I learn about these things, the more, the more armor you see, the more chinks there are. Really?
Yep.
Yeah.
Basically. And especially when you start to look into the original language that is written in, there's little hints and clues in there.
Right. And here's the thing: a couple of people have mentioned this. They've mentioned that, oh, hey, but in this book it says in Luke chapter 18, Jesus prophesies the Gentiles would put him to death. That's really easy for the writers of Luke to write 60 to 70 years after Jesus allegedly lived. it just sounds like it sounds like let's go ahead and put in a prophecy in there. So, I mean, it just seems like it's so much easier to put in there. That makes sense. That would be my defense on that. In Luke chapter 18, Jesus prophesied. Really? Yeah. So the people who wrote his book, who love him, claim that he predicted it was going to happen, claimed he's going to be put to death. Why didn't he turn himself in? Anyway, but then we had another one who mentioned something similar, and that was they sent in SEAL Team 6. I like that Hellbound Hillbilly. That's great. There was another one. That parable of the tree.
Ice. They sent ice in. They sent ice in 670.
That's right. I'm just kind of looking to see if somebody said something. There was another scripture they pointed out about it, and I'm like, yeah, same thing. I mean, sure, it sounds like fan fiction. In the fan fiction, sure, which one was it? Luke was first, so then Mark.
What? With what? What are you talking about? What
Which
are you talking about chronology wise?
Yeah.
Mark's first, then I believe Matthew, then I would say Luke, then John, I believe.
Okay, so wow, so Luke isn't even the first of the books.
No, and Matthew and Luke share a lot of Mark, and also I believe Luke used Josephus as well.
Yeah, part of the thing is I think we had book A, writer of book B had book A, and they learned off of book B or book A, and that's what they wrote their book B off of. Writer of book C may have had book A and book B, but may have only had, and then there was also a time difference. The further anyway, it's complicated. Yes, Dr. Kip asks if you're still on this Friday. Let me ask, how are you doing, girl? Are you
okay? So here's the thing. Hubs usually does travel a lot for work, but he just hadn't for whatever reason. But he's going to be traveling for like the next 3 weeks. So I don't know if I will be able to finish and when I'll be able to finish.
Oh.
And we're like I think we're at the half season of the last season. So it's like so many cliffhangers. We don't know what Starbuck is yet. Like, and I just want to finish it.
So tough. Yeah. So I mean,
no idea.
Do you guys still want to do it? And then even if you don't do it this time, it'd be a month before you actually get to finish it, So that's tough.
I don't know what to do. I mean, I don't care.
And we don't want to spoil it for you.
I know.
Sorry,
guys. I'm so sad. And I might be wrong. We might be able to, like, a couple of days he comes home, we might be able to, but I don't know.
Yeah. Is he gone now?
Yeah.
Oh, see, that's the sad part. Yeah, he's already gone. Because it's only like 4 episodes. If you're halfway, there's only 10 episodes to seasons. Man. Yeah, there's not very much if you're part of the way through it. Yeah, there's not very many episodes.
Yeah, I'm
Dr. Kip is going to be on.
I'm loving it. Though.
Yeah, Veronica Ingram. Yeah, so you are enjoying it. So, we got to think about that. How, do Dr. Kip, what's that?
I did watch this far. I just didn't remember that I watched this far, but I did watch this far because I'm picking up things. I'm like, oh, that's right. I do remember this. That's my brain. Yep. That's how bad my brain is. Sorry.
No. Quite all right. It's just the thing, Dr. Kip. So Dr. Kip, I'll kind of leave it up to you. Let me know. It looks like it probably wouldn't be, you can talk Babylon or Battlestar Galactica, but it'd be limited. Because you don't want to spoil it for her, the ending. She's almost to the end too. So, think about it a little bit. Let me know.
I'm edging the SG finale.
Yes. You haven't got the opportunity to see Firefly yet, have you?
No.
It's good stuff, girl. It's good stuff. Anyway, we'll get to that too one of these days. All right, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up everything. Thank you all for joining us today. I want to say thank you, and I'm glad from the ladies for yesterday for letting me have the day off. Thank you all for that. And Ryan, thank you for joining me today. I'm going to run one of our things here. What's that?
Can I quickly just plug, if you want to plug,
Please.
Ember, Better Than Ember. Their streams next. Then after after her stream is Maya's having a stream today about, oh, please.
Dr. Kip.
Oh, Nazi awareness stream,
Oh, really?
Maya, at 2
Oh, really?
p.m. Eastern. Okay.
Okay.
So just
Awesome.
wanted to put that in there. And I'm releasing a video today at like 3 or something like that. I might
All
push
right,
it
then
back to Maya.
We're doing this. Let's do this then. All right. So here's the deal. Maya, as soon as this, not Maya, but Ember, as soon as this stream is over, as soon as I end this stream, it's going to kick you over to Ember stream. Maya is going to have, I believe, Dr. Kip on this morning. Sometime he's been posting it. And then, of course, later on, it looks like she's going to also have, the anthem. So there's a lot going on. Ryan's dropping a video. My video about stuff is dropping in 6 minutes. It's going from members only to public.
Okay.
People, secular feelinists would like to hear some Pharaoh's Curse. I'm going to do that. And then I'll end the show. Ryan, thank you very much for joining me again today.
Thank you. See you guys.
All right. Let's see. Where is the Pharaoh's Curse?
Are you feeling the world is leaving you behind? Do you look at all the pseudoscience, rumors, and wild speculation on the internet and wonder, why can't
Mi burrito es tan bueno, it burns when I pee. Abraham had the crotch cooties and gave his sister wife to me. El ataco fue no bueno, it stings like a bee. They told me she was his sister, now I'm plagued between the knees. I've got the Pharaoh's curse, a case of penile plague. I've got the Pharaoh's curse, there's fire between my legs. Mi burrito está no bueno, a full bladder I fear. Abraham's lies and Sarai's touch have left me itching front to rear. Mi burrito está bueno, it burns when I pee. Abraham had the crotch cooties and gave his sister wife to me. I've got the Pharaoh's curse, a case of penile plague. I've got the Pharaoh's curse, there's fire between my legs.
I don't know why that happened, but it did happen. Sorry, guys. Yeah, it screwed up. Whenever I hit the thing, 2 were going, and it screwed up the thing. So 1,000 apologies. I appreciate you, though. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and close out the show. Thank you all for being here. We'll see you tomorrow. Tomorrow's Wednesday. I have no idea what's going on tomorrow, but we're going to make it fun. Yeah. So send safely, my friends. Take care.
Got a house that smells like old cheese and shame. Father Flanagan's flesh candles change the game. Goat-scented thrills for your soul's delight. Light it up, baby, make your room right. When
Tech gremlins. They're killing me. All right. I'll see you later. I know.
got a house that smells like old cheese and shame. Father Flanagan's flesh candles change the game. Goat-scented thrills for your soul's delight. Light it up, baby, make your room right. When you've sinned and need to atone, light a candle. the tone. Confession booths, busy, no need to stress. Light a candle and forget your mess. Gross odors vanish like sins in the wind. With each wick, guess who's your new best friend? When you've sinned and need to atone, light a candle and avoid the stone. Smell the ghost in a holy zone. Father Flanagan here to set the tone. Lambs and calves may have their day, but goats, the scent that leads the way. Clean your slate with a sniff so pure. Father Flanagan's got the cure. Turn your home into a saintly space. With every whiff, find redeeming grace. From your living room to the kitchen sink,